And at what point do you say to someone, say their free T3 is a little bit lower than what you want, but they feel good?
Yeah.
Is that a symptom of the fact that maybe their receptors are more sensitive? And there are some people that have receptors that are less sensitive, so they're optimal at a different level than maybe someone like me.
Yeah, exactly. So it all comes down to how do you feel? I mean, that is the number one question before we even look at your labs. I want to know what your symptoms are and how you feel because that's the lens at which we have to look through to see your labs. L.
Right.
Russ and I actually talked about this very thing. We'll randomly have these people who their free T3 will be coming in at, let's say, a 2.9. And for reference, I'm using the standard lab value range of LabCorp in my head when I say this. So the standard lab value range for free T3 goes up to around a 4.2, 4.3 ish. I always say we want you in the upper quadrant of the range. So ultimately, we'd want you at, let's say, a 3.6, 3.7, 4.2, something like that. So obviously, in the context of that, giving you some numbers, 2.9, you can see, okay, well, that's low. We'll have someone come in with a 2.9 free T3 and they're like, I am doing great. I am a healthy weight. I'm not gaining weight looking sideways at a brownie. I get through my day. My brain is lit up. My mood is fine. Everything is balanced. I'm pooping every day. It's great. Am I going to treat that? No, no, that is her optimal. That is that 2.9, where if we put that 2.9 on somebody else, they might be like, I just gained 10 pounds last week. I'm retaining water. I can't get through my day. I need a nap at 2 p.m. I can't remember where I put my keys. Am I getting early stage dementia? Like that is how personalized it is. It depends on the person. Obviously, how they're caring for themselves outside of the thyroid. Are you inflamed? Are you insulin resistant? Are you doing bioidentical hormones, which just helps to support the whole system? Are you doing iodine, which you and I know and have talked about? Lowers your reverse T3, improves conversion of T4 and T3, improves the thyroid, helps the thyroid gland even produce thyroid hormone. So it depends what you're doing outside of just looking at the thyroid itself and how you feel with that 2.9. But yes, to your point, a person can feel very different based on their body chemistry, makeup, and their lifestyle.
Right. And just to touch on the iodine, there are people where that iodine is going to make the TSH temporarily skyrocket. And people say, oh my gosh, this is making me hypo. And I'll say, well, how are you feeling? And they're
Right.
saying, I feel great. So I say, well, this is what happens when you give your body that iodine and your thyroid. The brain says, oh my gosh, I love that. I need a whole lot more for all of the cells in my body, not just my thyroid. So it will scream, give me more for about 6 months, and then it'll go down. And I think you say that you don't even really look at TSH as much as the other numbers.
No, I really don't. I mean, yes, if it is screaming at us, my first question, based on what I learned from you, is to ask, are you taking iodine?
Right.
So that's the very first question. And then obviously we look at it in the context of the person. Are they on thyroid medication? Are they, how they feel, what their free T3 and reverse T3 is. So really we kind of just look at TSH with a grain of salt. Like I'll glance at it. And if it's screaming high, if it's screaming at us, then yeah, we want to dig a little bit deeper and go, well, why? Is this because you're really, really, really hypo or because you're taking iodine or did you have a viral load that pushed it up for whatever reason? But it's not an important marker and it's a brain hormone. It's not a thyroid hormone. It's a pituitary hormone.
And you just mentioned viruses. I mean, I know personally that when I'm sick or I've been exposed to a virus and maybe I'm not even sick, I can feel my whole metabolism go down because it's not the financial stress or the kids stress, but it's a physical stressor on my body that says, okay, let's conserve this energy. We need to focus on fighting this virus. We're going to be in survival mode and slow down the metabolism. And
Yeah.
it's not what you want, but that's the body's reaction to survive, and that's its goal. It doesn't care what you look like, it doesn't care that your hair is falling out, it cares for survival. So these stressors that can slow down your metabolism aren't necessarily the environmental stressors. They can be internal stressors. They can be your liver backed up. And that was my issue. My liver was working super hard and my body was stressed. So it was going to shut down its metabolism a little bit to be able to deal with that physical internal stressor. But that also brings up the liver.
So what will happen is someone will have an elevated reverse T3, and that's going to block T3 from getting into the cell. And what we'll see oftentimes is people will think, oh my gosh, my numbers got worse after we work on lowering their reverse T3. They'll look at their free T3 and they'll say, I got worse because my free T3 went from a 4.5 to a 2.9. No, it's not that you got worse. It's that you opened the doors up. Now the T3 can get to where it needs to go. Now we have a really nice, accurate picture, and we can say, okay, your reverse is now in the optimal range. It's no longer blocking the cell. It's no longer wreaking havoc and putting your body in survival mode. Now let's look at your free T3. Oh, okay, you're at a 2.9. Now we know, let's increase your dose a little bit to get that up into that optimal range, that upper quadrant of the range. So just in me saying that, and even if this sounds confusing to the listener, if the listener's like, what in the actual did she just say? That is how nuanced the thyroid is.
Mhm.
I mean, that is how detailed, precise, personalized, and nuanced the thyroid is. There is no one size fits all when it comes to the thyroid. And I pound this into my audience as well because of that nuanced effect. You have to be learning from, listening to, and working with someone that knows what they're doing with the thyroid. Otherwise, like in your case, you could be told that you're hyper. And meanwhile, what if you were 40 pounds overweight like I was? What if you were dragging your butt through the day and somebody tells you that you're hyper because they didn't test you all the way, they didn't test you thoroughly, or they don't know how to interpret those tests and how to look at the picture of that reverse T3 to T3, that's the problem. But it's the thyroid is very, very nuanced.